Thank you very much. Thank you, Nadine. Thank you, all of you. And I'm very happy to be here today with you here in Vienna in Act.Now. For me, it's an honor speaking with all of you, not only now, but in these 3 days. It's a very nice thing to speak in the last day after you have already met everyone. And speaking to people that you already know. Because when we speak about peace and acceptance, we immediately understand that the first wall between us and the other is our incapacity to dialogue and to speak with each other. I have been already presented by Nadine, so I won't speak about myself. I speak directly about Palermo. Okay, I saw the minutes here, so I understand how it will go. Palermo is a very complicated city. It has a very complex history, blood history, mafia history. People were killed in the street. People who were mayors, deputy mayors like me, activists for human rights and for legality. So in every street of our city, we see the signs of these times. And we decided, when I saying we, I'm speaking about the whole city. 40 years ago, our actual mayor have decided to change the city, having a vision that have went far away. Because as he always says, if you think that you will solve a problem in 1 day or 1 month, then you are a populist. If you are a visionary man, you understand that problem will be solved after a lot of years. So it took us 40 years since the 6th of January 1980, when the president of the Sicilian region was killed in Palermo, until 2018. It took us something like 38 years to become what we have been in 2018. We have become from the mafia capital of Italy to the cultural capital of the whole country of Italy. It was a milestone moment for all of us in 2018. Back then, I was a simple activist working for human rights, migrants' rights, and intercultural dialogue. And I participated a lot on making this view a reality. In 2018, we had Manifesta in Palermo. So when we went to read a lot of newspaper, European newspaper, nobody anymore spoke about Palermo as a place where you speak only because of mafia things and bad things. Palermo now is recognized as a city engaged in cultural activities, 360 degrees around. It's very important to understand why we are very interested on this theme. Because, you know, in some places you think that culture is something that, okay, it's good, but it's not, necessary. It's not like that. You can spend a lot of money in changing a city. You can build a lot of building. The mafia in Palermo built half of the city back in the 60s. You can put new mobilities, new tram, new station. But to change really a city that has a bloody history, only the culture could help you doing that. You know, when we speak about cultural activities as an inclusion tool, it's not, a rhetorical thing. We lived it. When I became the president of the City Council for Migrants, Consulta delle Culture, I had immediately noticed that our communities lived in somewhere of segregation. Tamil lived alone, Tunisian lived alone, Sub-Saharan African lived alone. And we understood immediately that the only way to put them together with the city and the only way to open them to the city and the city to them is by using their cultural event and by promoting it. I remember the first time in 2013 when we went to a Tamil-linked event, there was only the Italian police outside. The year after, it was something like 10,000 Italians from Palermo that participate on that event. When we speak about inclusion, we have to understand something. To have peace and acceptance in a city, you have to avoid the presence of ghettos. Not only geographic ghettos, but social, economic, cultural ghettos. We have this neighborhood in Palermo. It's called Danesini. Danesini, it couldn't be called as periferia. It's not a banlieue like Paris, because it is in the main center of Palermo, 100 meters from the Royal Palace. This neighborhood has been for decades, a place that nobody who lived in Palermo went there. By using cultural activity and by promoting touristic engagement and touristic experience in that neighborhood with Airbnb, for example, that brought people there and showed them how to cook Italian recipes. They went to the market nearby and then they go back to this neighborhood. When you go now to Danesine in 2020 and you remember how was it 3 years ago, this is what we speak about when we speak about cultural activity as a tool, an instrument for social inclusion. It seems easy, but it's not. We have met in these 3 days and we have spoken a lot between us, mainly mayors and deputy mayors and anyone who work in the municipalities. When we speak about democratic participation, when we speak about social inclusion, when we speak about cultural activities, when we speak about hearing what people have to tell us, it seems easy, but it's not. You know, I have been in office for more than 1 year now. And the fact that a migrant who came to Palermo 20 years ago with suitcase, got in the city local government, it wasn't so easy to accept for a lot of people. But if you work enough hard, and if you believe that you love that city, because I love Palermo. I lived in Palermo more than I lived in my own first city. So the message get in. We have worked a lot about welcoming migrants, but we understood immediately that it's a global issue, and it can't be addressed with an emergency approach. We understand that migrants doesn't need only food, housing, and a place to stay. They need to feel belong to their environment. And with the Charter of Palermo, the document that we have written in 2015 and that has been widely spread in Europe and recognized as an important document for immigration and mobility rights, we set a few focus point, a few milestone points that we want to believe that we live in a city where human being is the most important thing. And we recognize everyone as a human being who has his rights and his duties. So when we write that document, we've done it after a meeting of 3 days that we call it Io sono persona. I am a person, which is the most emblematic and simple thing that anyone could think. But sometimes, you know, we spoke in these days about populists and their way to marginalize, separate, put people aside. When you don't recognize the humanity of a man, it's the first step to get him aside, to ghettoize him, to put him in a situation that he is the other. In Palermo, we don't have the other. Palermo is not a rich city. We have a lot of touristic monuments, cultural activities, and we are a city with a very interesting history. Arabs governed Palermo for more than 1 century. So we use all of that to understand and to make people understand that an open city is the only way to live a city. Because city with walls, it's a real terrible place to live in. By participation, we immediately understand in 2012 that migrants need more than housing, clothing, and a job. They need to participate at the political life of the city. Because migrants in Italy, by law, can't vote. They can't choose their mayor. They can't choose their city councillor. They can't have a voice. And we set the Consulta of Culture, which is this city council, political city council. And I was very lucky to be its first president. And we have done a very good job. But when the first question I was asked, they told me, Adam, what will you do for migrants? And I answered, nothing, because we work for everyone in Palermo. It's a very important, it's not rhetoric. It's a way of seeing us as a community. And when we promote human rights, we decided after the success of the Consulta of Culture to set a new experience of democratic participation by creating the Consulta della Pace, the Consulta of Peace, in which a lot of civil rights organizations, associations, and activists in the society participate, and they have a voice that is listened by the administration, and they promote a lot of interreligious moment and dialogue. And we give the flag of our city to one of the boats who go there in the Mediterranean and rescue people. So it's rhetoric, it's not. Let's see if this thing works. Okay, this is a very dear photo for me. It was 2013 when it all began for me as a city member of the City Council for Migrants. I was the less voted member because I have a very tiny community, but then I was elected its president. And it's began a new experience for migrants living in Palermo because they had a voice to speak with the administration, an institutionalized voice. This is on one of the boats who go there in the Mediterranean and save human people who are seeking help in Europe. They are not seeking other things. They are fleeing from war, from scarcity. And that flag on the center is the flag of city of Palermo. And when this ship go in the Mediterranean Sea, they have the flag on it. And this is our meeting, our last meeting a couple of months ago with the City Council for Peace, Consulta della Pace, on which we have, you can see we are a lot of people coming from a lot of countries, and that is the City Hall where they held their meeting. All of these things, it's not to say that we love rhetoric, because I just want 30 seconds to give you an example of how much important what we are doing and how concrete it is. When Salvini, as interior minister in Italy, amended his two laws, Decreto Salvini I, Decreto Salvini II, that prohibited for migrants who have the status of asylum in Italy to be registered at the anagraphic service in the cities in Italy, so they become, invisible for the state. We refused to applicate this law, that is a national law. In Palermo, we refused to applicate it, and the mayor himself, as a public officer, signed every one of these migrants who were excluded by the law of Salvini, challenging Salvini and the government back then, the first government of Conte, and telling them, if you want, you can take me to jail, but I will continue doing that. And he done it for 800 people, and he could have done it by delegating to another officer in the city, but he do it by himself. And until now, 2020, we didn't get anything from any public court. And the court all around Italy, Bologna, Firenze, and Milano, has said and stated in very time that that law was unconstitutional and that Orlando line was the right one. So it's an example, a concrete example, when you arrive even to challenge the national authority and to say that for us, when we speak about accoglienza, welcoming people, it's not only rhetoric. Thank you very much.